spirituality isn't part of your life. I know that sounds controversial. I'm sure you're thinking, Angelo, I've watched every one of your videos, or I've read Eckhart Tolle's Power of Now like 47 times. Or, you wouldn't say that if you saw my Ramana Maharishi tramp stamp tattoo. But anyway, I understand, like, we have this this love for non-duality, for spirituality, and we engage it, sometimes very exuberantly. And I know there are a lot of people who have and continue to watch many videos on YouTube about non-duality, have read the books about it, practices, meditation, inquiry, mindfulness practices, somatic modalities, like all of this. And that's great. That's actually not what I'm talking about. Conventionally speaking, non-duality is part of your life. Spirituality is part of your life. Awakening is part of your life. But what I'm talking about is that simple truth that what I'm pointing to isn't a part of your life. It's not a thing called spirituality that you engage in some of the time or most of the time, or that you aspire to. All of that experience of being the one who is engaging a process, the sense of being the one who is seeking anything, the sense of being the one who has certain areas of their life that feel defined by a certain interest or a certain set of principles or set of memories, or even a group of friends or a spiritual community, that part of you that feels like you that's engaging all of that. I'm pointing to something that's beyond that, or I'm pointing to something that is perhaps prior to that. But it's not limited at all by any way that you define yourself, that you define spirituality, that you define non-duality. Certainly no way that you understand it, but it's also no way that you sort of identify with it, that it feels like you, and it feels like a part of your life. That familiarity itself is a sort of filter. And that's what I'm really pointing to is, if I were to talk about spirituality, for instance, if I were to talk about this truth that I'm always pointing to, I have to say it's not spiritual. It's not a part of your life. It's everything. It's so completely pervasive and all-inclusive and so instantly accessible that in a way it's like we can't even really talk about it at all. We can't name it. We can't make it a part of life and say, that's that part of my life. There's the mundane part of my life. Even if it's in the past, like I feel like I used to be less spiritual and now I'm more spiritual. Like I can't divide it that way. It's not dividable. And there's something so simple and innocent about that and beautiful about it, because it's always here and it's always been here. No matter how the mind is moving, no matter how much doubt we have, no matter how much confusion we have, no matter how much frustration we have, no matter how much cognition we have or how much we're getting lost in our mind and in thoughts, what I'm pointing to is already the case. It's all of that, easily, seamlessly, without hesitation. Which sounds really strange, because even the sense of hesitation, of being a sort of separate entity, a contracted one, the seeking one, the one that is so interested in this process and in spirituality, all of that can feel separate somehow, or can feel so heavy or so unwieldy at times, and yet that's also it. It just is. What I'm pointing to is immediately accessible, and it's already the access. The access is it. And even the lack of access is it. It's just everything. At the same time, there aren't things. There isn't distinct identity in anything. So also what I'm pointing to is no thing. It's no thing specific. It's no thing distinct. It's no thing apart. It's no thing that's either empty or full. This that I'm pointing to is not empty or full. It's not difficult or easy. It's not complex or simple. So if we don't divide reality in that way, then it just reveals itself. Again, all of the practices, all of the efforts, the inquiry, all of it, the retreats, the talking with, a facilitator, watching videos, reading books, all of it is completely fine. And there is a causality to it. But I have to say periodically that it's not getting you somewhere. It's not going to get you somewhere else. It's just not going to happen. It's not going to create a reality that doesn't already exist. It's not going to dissolve a reality that's apart from the actual reality, because there is no reality apart from the actual reality. There's nothing apart from anything. And there's a beautiful release in that, whether or not you're doing anything along the lines of practice. In any moment you're practicing, it's already that. In any moment you're not practicing, it's already that. At any moment you're thinking about anything, spirituality or non-duality, or, it's already that. Any moment you feel completely divided and frustrated and struggling, or you're just lost in thought, it's already that. No less or more. There's no less or more here. In no thingness, there is no less and more. In the same way, there's no distance. In the same way, there's no identity. So this doesn't negate practice, and that's a really important thing to say, and it's a key misunderstanding out there. What I'm saying doesn't negate practice. It actually facilitates practice, because it facilitates everything. But it also potentiates practice to keep this instinct alive, to continue to recognize that, okay, I'm not trying to get somewhere. You can still ask a question without trying to get somewhere. You can ask a question without even trying to get an answer. You can ask a question out of absolute pure curiosity and innocence. An inquiry question is often just a reorientation. And what are we reorienting to? We're reorienting to that which has no orientation and needs no orientation, which is already here. So from that perspective, practice is fine. Inquiry is fine. Meditation's fine. And it's powerful to practice from a place of no practice. It's powerful to inquire from a place where no answer is needed. It's powerful to engage life with no expectation and no requirement. No expectation, no requirement. And everyone has this in their experience already, and everyone actually has access to it. Sometimes they'll feel fleeting. It might feel just like a second, like a quick, fluctuation. But you taste it, you know it's true. And then the mind starts making noise, which is also it. But the knowing, ongoing recognition of the unbound, of the unborn, can seem to fluctuate for a while. But it's always here. Don't lose sight of that. That's important. So I'm not pointing to anything. I'm not pointing to spirituality. I'm not pointing to a certain way that I'm supposed to, or that you're supposed to believe things are, or that I'm trying to propagate a belief or a view or anything. Not at all. That's not what I'm doing. It's just this. Life as it is. Appearances as they are. Sensation as it is. Breath as it is. Disappointment as it is. Don't push or pull. Don't take a stance with experience, with appearances, and then there is just appearance. It's so light. It's not hindered. It's not stuck. It's not too soon or too late, too fast or too slow. because we're not taking a position. It's just what it is.